talk about inflammation, just go over some of that and the genetics we run, the blood work we run on these patients so we can tell how inflammatory they are. So first of all, we want to look at inflammation and some of the harmful chemicals it produces that can contribute to these following conditions. So we're looking at Alzheimer's, dementia, cancer, anxiety, depression, high blood pressure, heart disease, stroke, type 2 diabetes, allergies, asthma, skin conditions like acne, eczema, and psoriasis, and also arthritis. So there's a whole host of things that inflammation causes, okay? And this is one of the tests that we look at. This is a genetics test. And so when we look over here, if we see green, that is good. If we see yellow or red, that is not. And so on this person, this is an example of one, we see a lot of yellow and red. So this person is probably highly inflammatory. So what's that mean? They're probably going to be tired. They're probably going to have headaches. They're going to have maybe possibly fibromyalgia, things like that. They're just not going to feel well. Now, if they run off to the doctor, they're going to get put on all kinds of medication for that, okay? So what we look at are some of the natural things that you can do, like curcumin, omega-3 fatty acids, resveratrol, quercetin, low-dose naltrexone, things like that. We talk about an anti-inflammatory diet. If I had to say the most inflammatory thing out there, I would say is probably grains. Now we can talk about dairy and seed oils and all that, but if I had to pick one thing to knock out of someone's diet, I would say do grains. So this test gives us an idea of how inflammatory they are, okay? Next, we can look at blood tests. So if you go to your doctor, a couple inflammatory markers you want to look at in the blood are biomarkers. One is homocysteine and the other is C-reactive protein. So those are two you would want your doctor to check, or if you're a patient here, we're going to check. So what do high homocysteine levels cause? So when you look at this, it's going to cause elevated homocysteine, can cause severe health complications, can increase blood clots, heart attacks, heart disease, stroke, dementia, and osteoporosis. So, I mean, it's going to cause a lot of cardiovascular issues, but just overall inflammation. And then, what are some things that people can do to lower homocysteine levels? Well, one of the big things you want to look at are your B vitamins. And I'm going to show you a test that we look at for that. But the major ones are B9, which is folate, B12, and B6. You want to exercise on a regular basis, manage your stress, quit smoking if you're a smoker. I think we all know that. Limit your alcohol intake. Consume omega-3 fatty acids. We probably all heard about that. Fish oils. Ingest red meats. I think we've all kind of know now that we need to flip that pyramid upside down. It used to be grains were at the bottom and meat was at the top, where now I think we need to put the grains at the top or off the chart, period. And some of those other things like meat and butter and dairy and those foods were considered bad for you. But I think today we're all realizing those are good. Another thing you can do is garlic for your blood, ginger for veins and arteries, turmeric for circulation, consume eggs for arterial plaque, and add, you want to avoid coffee and tobacco. But anyway, this is how you can lower your homocysteine, levels naturally. And so some of those things we've been told not to do. Anyway, we can also do intermittent fasting. Intermittent fasting, researchers have found out that it helps reduce inflammation in the body. And so what is inflammation, or what is intermittent fasting? Intermittent fasting is where we just don't eat for a while. I'm not saying long extended periods of time, but more like, a 16 to 18 or a 24-hour fast. That would be where you get started. And then we can work it into longer fast, but that is really beneficial for people with inflammation because it will help fight infections, and also too much inflammation can lead to various diseases. So intermittent fasting is going to help with that. But most of all, they say we eat too much and we eat too often. So you're not giving the body a break. You got to give the body a break and digest the food. And we don't do that. So that would be no snacking, no sugar, things like that. You really got to get into fasting. Now, here's a chart we ran. I try to get patients to fast for a minimum of 13 to 15 hours starting off. If we can do that, that's good. Then we try to get them to 16 to 18 hours. And that's where we start having autophagy. That's where your cells start taking out the trash. Then if we can do that, we move to 24, 36, 48, and 72. And there's a lot of benefits in fastings. As you can see here, I'll go into detail of that some other time. But overall, you're going to get into your sugar, you're going to burn it, you're going to feel good, you're going to start getting into ketones, and that's good for brain health. It's good for your dopamine. It's good for your gut. It's just good for a lot of things and decreasing the inflammation. Some of the vitamins that are good for inflammation, some of your bigger vitamins, the top anti-inflammatory vitamins are vitamin A, your B vitamins, which we talked about, vitamin C, vitamin D, vitamin E, and vitamin K. So then when you test these vitamins, here's what it looks like. Here's the B vitamins, here's B9, here's vitamin A, here's B1, here's B12, here's B2, and so on. We also want to look at what not only is what's in the serum, that's the blood, but what's getting in the cell. Okay. So as we look down here at the K vitamins, there's enough in the serum, but it's not getting enough in the cell. And that's critical. So we're showing it here that it's in the blood, but it's not going up in the cell. So this person, we'd want to supplement with vitamin K. So this is how we can get you dialed in by running this test. And it looks at a lot of other things. I'm just picking the vitamins today. So we would cover all the vitamins and we would know if it was getting into the serum and then getting into the cell. So, and then I would say another one thing that I would say on the omegas is this is a good product here. And this is omega 3, and it's going to have the EPA and the DHA. And those are going to be good for your brain, your heart health, your joints. So it's going to support cardiovascular health, promotes cognitive function, supports the natural inflammatory response, supports optimal cellular function and repair, helps maintain healthy lipid and triglyceride levels. So this is something that I would say most need to be on. I take this every day and I would recommend it. Okay. And it's a good high potency EPA, DHA fish oil. Okay. But anyway, all these things that I mentioned are going to help with inflammation and lower. And that's the key to anti-aging is managing the inflammation. Okay. So not only those vitamins and minerals we talked about, but also the fasting. And then again, like I said, we go back to the test here. This is a genetics test, and it's going to let us know how inflammatory you are. If we see a lot of red and yellow over here, that just means that person is highly inflammatory, okay? So anyway, I see a lot of patients and we look at these markers here. We look at these biomarkers, these genetic markers, and it just gives us a good idea of what we're dealing with. And then by having the genetics test, not only can we see where you're inflammatory, we can see other areas where you're weak too, whether it's methylation, detoxification, whether it's your gut microbiome. And then that's where you can really deep dive in. So we always want to assess, and then we test, and then we personalize. So if we can do those things, this is where you get into precision medicine or precision health, because not too many people are doing this stuff out there. But anyway, we do this with all of our patients, and we can dial in on certain foods as well, gut health. We can look at all kinds of markers. But I like the genetics because the genetics never changes. It always stays the same. And it kind of tells you what lifestyle changes you need to make, what diet changes you need to make, and what supplementation changes you need to make. Okay. Anyway, it dials it in. So anyway, I hope this information was helpful. And if you are interested in a consultation or anything, just please reach out to the office. We're offering free health assessments right now. That's not going to last forever. And I would love to go over this with you and kind of get an assessment with you so we know where we want to test, and then we know what we need to prescribe. Okay, guys? Anyway, I hope this information was helpful, and we'll keep bringing it to you. Thanks.